Welcome everybody. This is Stay at Home and Draw. I think that's what maybe we'll just call it. It's like our show. And today we're going to be drawing a dog. And you can see over here, I've got some of my little dog figurines from my house. This one we got in Edinburgh when we were there this Christmas in Scotland. And these two, this is my dog Charlie. I showed you guys a picture of him that I drew. An incredible artist named Bunny with a Tool Belt made these, and they're so cute. And this is our dog that passed away a few years ago. His name is Little Dog. Isn't he so cute? So we're going to be drawing some dogs, or a dog today. And this whole purpose of this is just to help encourage people to stay home, but also be creative while you're there and spending more time at home amid this crazy pandemic that we're all experiencing. So I hope we can bring some creativity into your lives when things are a little crazy and uncertain. So that's the idea. You can draw along with me. You can just listen and draw your own thing with me. It's just some time for us to spend together. So
yeah, and just real quick, I saw a message pop up just saying, hey, I'm looking forward to starting my ABC book. I'm a bit late to the party, but can't wait. And that's the attitude that we all should be having, right? There's no, we have to be doing anything. There's no deadline for anything. The idea is that we're just doing this. We're finding some amount of time to be creative, and that's what matters. It's awesome, you guys.
And I know some people were interested in starting the ABC project, even though we've been doing it all month. And I think I'm going to create a page with all the resources that I've been giving out all month, so you guys can have a place to start fresh and know what to do. So I'll let you know about that once I get it going. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't have a plan for what kind of dog I'm doing today. I just decided I would draw a dog. So I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I'm going to go into Procreate and I'm going to create a new canvas. And my favorite size to use, I created a template called Full Screen Horizontal, and it's 5,500 by 4,000 pixels. It's a lot. It's high resolution, more than I'll ever probably need, because usually I just end up posting these things to Instagram. But if I ever did want to create a wall piece, I have that option, and I can always shrink it down. So that's what size I use. Okay, so like I said, I have no idea what kind of dog I'm going to draw. I already drew my dog, so I'm not going to do that. So kind of what I thought was maybe just to go into Google Images and just find a picture of a dog that looks interesting to me. Whoops. So I'm going to pull up split screen view. So to do that, you kind of swipe up slowly from the bottom, and then you grab Safari and you just drop it over there and it'll pop up. So you can see the book I just showed you guys. So let's look up dog. Easy. And then I'm going to go to images. And I'm just going to choose a dog that looks, this one's pretty cute with a little eye thing on his eye. But I kind of want to get a full body shot, perhaps. So maybe, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to type in dog full body, and maybe I'll get more of a photo that is going to work for what I'm looking for. Okay, these are dogs in weird clothes. So maybe not. Let's see. Little Chihuahua. I really like that first one I saw with the eye thing, but I don't know.
You can always try a dog breed.
Yeah. Does anybody know what kind of dog breed that was? Oh, this one's so cute. Okay. I think this guy's pretty cute. Now, I'm not getting the full body, the pose is not exactly what I'm going to draw here. So, I kind of know what a dog's bodies look like because I've drawn dogs before. So I'm not going to go exactly off of that, but I'll kind of explain what I'm doing as I go. I think my little doggies are a little too close here. Okay, so...
And real quick, just before we're going, just because a couple of people asked, what was the size canvas? I know you were talking about it being really big, but what was that canvas size, Lisa?
It was 5,500 by 4,000. I usually have about 4,000 or 5,000 pixels on one side when I'm starting a canvas. 3,000 pixels is probably fine for most things. You could probably print a good 8 by 10 or even a little bit bigger than that. But I like to go big, so that's what I do. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a middle gray. This is how I start all my sketches, with kind of like a middle gray, and I tap close to gray and it'll automatically select that color. Also works for white too, and many other places on the color wheel. And I don't know what brush set I'm gonna use today. I've been using my Gouache Paintbox, which I might just stay there because I've really been enjoying it. So I think I'll do that today. This week I do want to use some other brush sets. So I'll get to show you some of my other stuff that I've made as far as brushes goes. I even want to do one with magic paper this week, so look forward to that. Okay, so let me think about how I want the dog to look. If I want him to be like standing, I think I'll just do like a dog standing, which when I was down here, I saw this picture, this like cute old man with his dog. So I'm kind of going to use that. It's not very good resolution, but it'll kind of give me an idea of what I'm going to do here. So, okay. So whenever I try and like figure out how to sketch something, I try to break it down to the most simple shapes. So like the body, I'll draw, hold on. Okay. So I'm going to draw, these are like, I'm really simplifying it here. So this is like this area here, and then like this could be a shape and it's smaller like that. This is kind of what's going on in my head as I'm doing this. So they have like their chest, ribs and stuff's gonna be bigger. And then like, I kind of want his head to be up higher than this dog. So I'm gonna add a neck. And sketches are supposed to look like really bad in the beginning. They're not gonna look like anything that's like final art. That's kind of the idea. And then the like leg kind of is like a triangle shape. So that's what I'm going for here. And then I'm not getting too detailed, but the dog's foot kind of comes out there. Doesn't look great. And it's okay that this looks like really terrible, because that's okay. You can refine it as you go. I'm gonna add another foot. Cool. And then this whole area is kind of just looking a little too big. So I'm just gonna scooch that over. And then maybe we'll do the other leg, and that foot is kind of turned this way, or maybe. This could look terrible, guys, I don't know. And then I'm gonna have the tail going up. I like doggies to have their tails up. So I'm just gonna do a loose shape for the tail. Move the whole thing a little bit over. Okay, so I've got kind of a body happening. I think I'll draw the other foot going that way. And it's stylized, so it's not gonna be super realistic. Like, I'm not like studying dog anatomy to make it perfect. I'm just kind of going for what I see and kind of what I feel it should look like. So there's like a dog body. So now I'm gonna try and get the dog face that I had. This guy. Apparently it's a chaser dog. Okay. Okay, so for a dog head, I'm gonna have his face pointing that way. I'm gonna scooch the whole thing over a little bit to give myself some more space. And then I'm gonna draw like the head part. And then for the like snout, this is kind of the shape that I use for like a dog snout. And then the nose would be like right there. And then his ears, I don't know. And then I know they'll be like furry, but I'll add that in later. And then kind of like, we'll do the eyes like that. So now it's starting to look like a dog. I think the neck maybe is a little too long. So now I'm just gonna like adjust this sketch a little bit with the transform tool, or the selection tool and the transform tool. So that's selection. I use freehand and I just kind of select, oops, around there. Oh, and then as soon as I make my selection, I gotta go to transform, which is the arrow. And I can move that, and maybe I'll make his head bigger. Scooch it down a little bit. I have magnetics on, so it's putting all these guidelines, which I don't really need right now. So, turn those off.
Real quick, someone was just asking, hey, what brushes could I be using right now instead of yours? And the great thing is right now we're just starting off with sketching. So. Yeah,
so Procreate has a lot of built-in pencils. They have a a sketching set, which has all kinds of different pencils in it. So a sketch, it doesn't really matter, but I think pencils are nice to use for it because that's what we're used to sketching with. And they're like nice and thin, and you can get really nice sketchy lines. So, but yeah, I'm using Gouache Paintbox. I'm using the light pencil. I like to include a sketcher brush in a lot of my sets, just so it's there and ready for you. You don't have to like dig into another set to get a sketch brush. Okay. All right, so dog is looking pretty cute. Maybe I made his head a little too big. I don't know. You can kind of play with this as you go. So this is like the really rough sketch. And then once I'm happy with that.
And real quick, just talk about exactly what you just did on the screen. Because that's what, some people are definitely asking. I know Gray was out there asking and a couple others. So just go over what tools you just used real quick.
So I just use a pencil brush, like I said, light pencil from my Gouache Paintbox, and just kind of broke this dog picture I was looking at down into simple shapes. And then once I got kind of a basic sketch down, I am using the Select and Transform tool to like select areas, and I'm using freehand just to draw around areas, and then I can like manipulate them. If I wanted to be his head really, really big like that, I can just move that and make it be what I want it to be, but I think I liked where I had it, so yeah. So just kind of getting the sketch and like the proportions and stuff to my liking before I make a secondary sketch. So that's what I'm going to be moving on to.
But more importantly, talking about that tool, just say something about that tool.
What tool?
The Select and Transform, what you're doing right now with moving the dog's head around is what people were asking about. So you said it again already. As you're selecting.
Yeah, so I'm using Select and Transform to manipulate the sketch and change the size and move things around, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, feel free to ask questions, and if I'm not getting it right, clarify your question. Okay, so now I've got this first sketch. I think he's maybe a little sideways. There we go. So now I'm going to make a secondary sketch because this is really rough. So I want to have a good foundation for it before I move on and like start coloring this in. So I'm going to go to this layers menu, which is the 2 squares, and I'm going to tap a little N icon on that layer. I'm going to reduce the opacity. I'm like about 25% or so. And then I'm going to create a new layer. So I just tap that plus icon right there. And now I'm going to draw over what I've already drawn. So just to kind of give me like more definite like lines and things of what I'm going to use. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's still a sketch. So let's see. Dog paws, they kind of do something like that, I think. And I could study and look up like, this is where you would go in and be like, dog paws or dog leg, dog foot. I don't think I'm gonna get what I want in this. So basically I'm like trying to look up a reference photo. Dog leg. I can choose not to worry about it at all and like just kind of do whatever comes to me. But if I want, I can look at like so the dog has this little paw, then that, and it goes like that. So if I wanted to be like a little more accurate, I can. I can always do legs that just kind of look like this. And that's fine too. Like that's a style. But if you want to add a little bit more realism, like you can grab a reference photo and be like, oh, that's how a dog leg looks. So maybe I'll do it that way and see how I like it. If I want it to be that realistic, or if I want it to be more like cartoony. Okay, so then that way, and then like a paw, and then that. I might not even like this, but I kind of do. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. So just like that little bit of realism can give it a little extra something, something. I might not be super realistic with the front legs, but we'll see. And then this leg, and that one's gonna connect to his body. And then we'll have this other leg kind of coming behind, and we'll do that in a similar way where it goes forward, the paw, and then like that. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so now we'll just add some more details. So the dog that I was drawing, the chaser dog, that breed, is a lot more furry. So there's gonna be more fur on this in the end, but right now I'm just kind of getting his like shape of his body, and then I can add the fur later. So if I wanted to make this look more realistic, I might just make the foot look a little more triangular like that. Kind of like looking at this a little bit. But again, I'm not super worried about it being very realistic. And then this kind of does that, like that. There we go. Okay, those look like dog legs. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we've got the head. So I'm gonna go back in my reference photo to the dog I was looking at before. There we go. That guy, so cute. Does anybody online have a dog that looks like that? It could be drawing your dog. I don't know. This is from Wikipedia. So, okay. So for the head, I'm gonna kind of follow my sketch, but make it a little more, less like broken up shapes and more like fluid with my line work. I would say.
Real quick, because it's only because it popped up a couple times now. People have asked to how to get back to full screen. So how to get rid of the blue ball.
Oh yeah, that's easy. So there's a little like line right here in between Procreate and Safari, and you just basically drag that over to the side. Boop, and then you're back to full screen. But I'm gonna keep mine up because I want to have my reference photo. And you can resize it too. I usually keep it about that big because then I still have enough space over here to work.
And then
We'll do a mouth. Make him smiling a little.
What person did just ask? Did you started a new layer when you?
Yeah. So I did my first sketch, which I'm just gonna. Oh, you can see it. So that like really rough sketch with the basic shapes. Then I reduced the opacity and made a new layer on top of that to draw this more like refined kind of sketch. Then I'm gonna draw his tail, and I'm gonna like make it kind of furry like this. It's got one of those bushy tails. It's not, I don't know if this dog looks exactly like that. I'm kind of making it up as I go. This is my dog drawing. Doesn't have to be exactly like that. So, cool. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I just want to, oops, wrong one. I'm just going to erase this little bit and maybe redo that. His eye seems like it's not in the right place for where I've put his nose. So maybe the eye would be there and maybe there. And his nose is like kind of doing that. I don't know. I'll play with that later, the eyes, because I usually put in things like the eyes and stuff like that last. Cool. So I've got my dog sketch. The other thing I'm going to do on my sketch, I think, before I move on to coloring is like decide where all his like spots are going to be. So I don't know if I want to make the eye, make it black, like half of his face is black. Maybe I'll do this half so we can still see this eye really well. And then we'll put some spots on the side of him. Just kind of making it up as I go. We'll do one there. And maybe like half of his tail will be black. I don't know what it actually looks like, but we could do it like that, where like this will be black. I don't know, maybe there. And he's got some like little spots on his legs. Just kind of whatever you feel like doing. That's what I'm doing. So a little spotted dog. Cool. Okay, so I've got my sketch, and now I'm pretty happy with that. I can turn off, which is a little checkbox right here to turn off my first sketch. I can even just delete that if I wanted to. I'm not going to yet. And it's good to turn that off and like look at this sketch on its own now, because you might notice things like this ear could probably move a little bit. So I use the selection tool and then transform, and then I'm gonna move that up just a little bit. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now I'm going to start coloring this. And because this dog is mostly white, I'm definitely gonna start with like a colored background so that I can like see what I'm doing. So background color is, if you go to the layers panel, it's down here. And what color? Color doesn't really matter at this point. Maybe I'll just pick a color I really like, which is like this kind of tealy, aqua-y color. Drink a little tea. Okay, so now I'm going to reduce the opacity of this sketch. So I'm going to hit N and turn that down just far enough so that I can still see it, but turn it pretty far down. And then I'm going to also turn that layer to the multiply blend mode. This will make sure that it darkens anything that it's on top of, so I can always see the sketch layer. I could go more into blend modes, but it's pretty complicated, but multiply is what I use for that. And then I'm gonna create a new layer and make sure that layer is below my sketch layer. I always keep my sketch layer on top. And now I'm going to get white. And I think if you were with me last week, I was using opaque round to draw a lot of my shapes, but I think today I'm gonna use something a little softer because it's got nice hard edges. So I'm gonna try painty round for this. I'm gonna be adding more and more texture to it as I go, but I think it might be nice to start with kind of a more textured brush as I'm drawing in these shapes. And the more like lightly you press with your brushes, the more you'll get kind of that texture infused, I guess, into your shapes. So all I'm doing is just filling this in kind of loosely. I'm not trying to make super crisp shapes at this point, or for this painting, drawing in general. I'm just kind of like defining what these shapes look like.
And real quick, we've been asked a couple times about your pressure curves and whether or not you change them based on, the original settings from the brushes and just kind of what they look like.
That's a good question. I never change my pressure curve. I always use the default, like whatever Procreate has it set to. It works for me, and I develop my brushes for, that pressure curve. But if you find that you generally use a heavier or lighter touch, you can edit it, and that's in the preferences, which is actions menu, preferences, edit pressure curve. So this compensates, if you just generally have like a lighter or heavier touch, you can compensate for that by moving this like up or down. So something to play around with if you notice like you're maybe not getting the same results with my brushes as you see me doing. And right now I have a pretty light touch. I don't always use a super light touch, but it helps me get kind of some texture in here. And I probably are gonna fill it in all the way, so I don't know if they need all this texture, but for now it's fine. And I'm just doing like the front shape. I'm gonna put the back legs, the ones that are like behind his body, on another layer. So just so you know. And you can ask questions. I know I'm just kind of coloring right now, so it's not that interesting. Do we have any questions, Jeff?
We don't have any new ones up yet.
Okay. How about an Instagram? Somebody asked what brush I'm using.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Painty Round from my Gouache Paintbox set. Painty Round. And it's a brush I designed to be used for something like this, where you're filling in shapes, but it's got kind of a more painterly textured edge. And it's not quite opaque like the opaque round brush. So you'll see some transparency to your brush strokes, which lets you build up. And so you get this like kind of nice like painterly texture as you're filling in these shapes. It's not like a solid shape. Hopefully that makes sense. And feel free again if you have any questions about anything. That's fine, I'm here to answer questions. Just kind of loosely coloring this in. Is anybody else drawing a dog right now? Or maybe you guys can tell me if you are drawing something. I would love to hear like what you're working on as we draw together. It doesn't have to be this. You could be doing your own thing and just kind of listening.
Do you ever adjust opacity for a piece?
It depends. I have if it makes sense for what I'm doing. Like for instance, if I was drawing, I don't know, something see-through, I could change the opacity. I'd put like, if it was like a see-through window or something like that, and there was something behind the window, I might use the opacity for that. It just kind of depends on if it makes sense. I don't use it a ton for like finished art, just kind of if it makes sense. So.
And one person was actually asking, "Hey, are you going to get the new iPad Pro?"
Probably not. I got this one in the end of 2018, and like the new one hasn't. There's not enough different that it warrants me buying a new one. And this one works great still, so yeah, I don't take pictures with my iPad ever, so I don't need the camera. Yeah, I'm pretty good with this one. Okay.
Then we did get asked, how did you learn how to do all of this on Procreate, Lisa? How did you do this?
Practice. Lots and lots of practice. I've been using Procreate since like 2014. I think so. That's 6 years of practice using Procreate. And in 2016, I did daily drawings with Procreate. Almost always with Procreate. Sometimes I did like physical media too, and paintings and stuff. But I challenged myself that year to draw something every day because I really wanted to develop my drawing skills and kind of figure out like what my style looked like and stuff like that. So doing a daily drawing challenge really pushes you to learn and practice and practice and practice. And that is the best way to learn. There weren't a lot of tutorials out there at that time. Procreate was still kind of new. It wasn't like quite as mainstream as it is now. So yeah, lots of practice. Now you can watch a lot of tutorials. In fact, I make a lot of tutorials too. But that's a great way to learn. There's lots of online classes and things like that. Yeah.
And it looks like a lot of people are drawing dogs. And we got
yeah?
a lot, which is awesome. We got some pugs. We got a few people trying to draw along. Plenty of people just watching, which is awesome, right? I mean, like you do not have to be drawing along right now. It is not a requirement to be hanging out with us.
Yeah, and if you, just watch now. And if you ever want to go back and like draw, you can do that too, because these are all be available like on our YouTube channel. They'll be saved there, so you can watch them there.
And I love it. We had someone, we just drew Saturn.
Ooh.
And they were doing it using all the things that they learned on Friday.
Cool.
Which is amazing.
Some clipping masks maybe, and like, I don't know, blend modes. Awesome.
We did just have someone ask, do you tend to draw on the side of the pencil or like full on, straight up and down? I know everyone's
like the tilt?
different. Yeah. The tilt or not, basically. I find I draw more on the side and the effect is different. So.
That's true. So I tend to draw like when I'm holding a real pencil, which is pretty much like this. But brushes are programmed to do different things depending on how you tilt. And in fact, for this particular brush set, Gouache Paintbox, I just released an update for it like about a month ago. And I made, that's from our workshop. Let me get out of there. I made this user guide to go with it. So this is what you get when you buy it. And it comes with it, and it has all kinds of information about how to use the set and stuff like that, and like what all the different brushes, like what the purpose for those brushes are, and like kind of like the workflow, which is pretty much like this workflow that's in this thing is what I've been showing you guys all week, where we just start with a sketch, basic shapes, adding texture, and then adding line work. And that's like the final art of that. But what I wanted to show you is like at the top, it has, if it's like an opaque brush or not, what the pressure affects, like if you use more pressure, it affects the size, what tilt does, whether tilt does anything or not. So like tilt creates sparse texture. It's ideal for rough shading. So this is Painty Round. That's the brush that I'm using. Tilt creates a soft, semi-opaque texture and an angular stroke shape. So it tells you exactly what tilting will do. And all brushes are programmed differently. So that's kind of like a cool thing that I include with my sets. Or I'm starting to create that. That was the first kind of in-depth user guide. I've got a couple other sets that have user guides too, but I'm slowly updating all my brushes to harness the power of Procreate 5, because when Procreate 5 came out, it came out with the new brush studio. It's got so many amazing new settings and things you can do with it. It allowed me to create the like Gouache Paintbox set of my dreams and make it exactly what I've always wanted it to be. And so yeah, I'm working on updating all my sets to kind of harness that power. And then I want to include those really cool user guides with them as I update them. So stay tuned this year. That's what I'm working on. It's like updating all of my sets. And if you've already bought any of my sets, you get all those updates for free. So if you've already bought it and paid for it, you'll get those updates for free. Cool. Okay, so I've got pretty much done painting in the shape of my dog. So I didn't mention it, but what I did is I created this shape on one layer. So it's all the like body and all the parts of the body that are in front. And then this is on another layer. So it's like the hind leg or the back leg and the back front leg and the back ear and the tail. Probably didn't need to put the tail on that layer, but I did. So, okay, so now we've got our dog basic shape.
Thank you for answering the question that I was about to ask you, Lisa, with the layering. But I did have, someone's just asking about more of a general iPad and Procreate question. When do you know to replace your nib?
So this one I've got in late 2018, this pencil. I've replaced the nib once, and it just gets a little like flat on one side, or sometimes you'll start to see some of the, I don't know, underlying hardware. Like you'll see a little like gray black thing sticking out, which is like the stuff that's inside this plastic. So if it just gets like worn and it looks worn and it feels worn, then you should replace it. One time I got like a weird, like a sticky outy part, like a little bit that just was like scratching stuff. So maybe it was defective, but yeah, you'll know if it's bothering you and if it looks worn. It's a good question. All right, well, I got rid of the reference photo for now just so I can have like a full screen look. And now I'm gonna start adding like fur details. So for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a layer on top of this kind of like basic shape layer.
And real quick, just before we hop in a little deeper, I just wanted to answer. A couple people have asked already, hey, your Apple Pencil looks really cool, and it looks like a pencil.
Oh, yeah. I have a decal on it that I got from dbrand.com. I actually gave a couple of these away in my workshop we did on Friday, so I think those people have been emailed now. And if you're in that workshop and you haven't gotten an email yet, we're working on that today. We kind of took the weekend off. So those are coming, but I've got some more, so maybe in a future workshop I can do a couple more giveaways. But dbrand.com is where I got these, and it's just fun. It just makes me smile because it's like a number 2 pencil and it's more color. I always want more color in my life. Okay, so I'm gonna add like my fur details now. And because it's a white dog, it's kind of can be hard sometimes to like shade and get the definition of fur and things like that because it's white, but so I kind of like mix in gray when I'm doing that. It'll make more sense as I keep going. So I think what I'm going to do, actually I think what I'm gonna do is just define these like spots first. So I'm gonna create a clipping mask. So I've created this new layer. I'm gonna tap it, and then I'm gonna tap clipping mask. And now anything that I draw, like if I got, will stay within the confines of this layer. So I can't, if I draw up here, it's not gonna appear because it's masked off based on this layer that's right below it. So let me get rid of that. So that'll be great for parts like here. And because I'm using kind of like this painty round brush, it's got a lot of texture and it's got opacity. It's not going to be like a super solid shape, which I think is kind of what I want. Eventually I'm going to blend like fur and stuff into it too, but I don't want like a super crisp spot for the dog. And I'm just going to roughly fill it in. So now I'm like tilting it a little bit more and using less pressure, and I'm getting like all this texture. And then I can fill that in kind of as much as I want it to be. Like I said, I think I'm going to be like painting fur lines over it, so I'm not too worried about how perfect it looks, but that's how you can get kind of like a nice textured effect. And then I'll do this guy over here. Kind of really soft. What else do we got? We got a couple like here. And then on the legs. Maybe we'll put one like down here for the heck of it. And then I know we've got this over here, which I think this is gonna be interesting, the face one, but it's like making sure it looks like it's on his eye. So we'll see that. Luckily I'm using a clipping mask and not like drawing on this layer, like the ones with the actual dog shape. So I can go back and just like erase it, redo it if I want to. That's the benefit of using a clipping mask versus using Alpha Lock. So if I did, because I can use Alpha Lock, so if I swipe to the right with 2 fingers, and then I'm drawing on that same layer, I get the same, whoops, I didn't mean to have the eraser on. I get the same effect where I can't draw outside the shape, but because it's on the same layer, I don't have the ability to like go back and erase it and manipulate it. I could paint over it maybe, but it's just better to use a clipping mask in this case. So that's what I'll do. And now I'm gonna add some spots to like the back legs. So I'm gonna go there to that layer, add a new layer, tap on it, create a clipping mask. So I can do the same thing and just add, maybe I'll put it down here instead. Some shapes, maybe one right there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and then the tail. I think I wanted to make the tail like black on the end. I'm just kind of, I had a reference photo, but I'm kind of just like making it up now. So there we go. Cool. So now I'm gonna do what I told you before, which is add some fur texture. And to make my fur, I'm gonna put that on another layer. So I'm gonna tap my layer with the little spots plus so that I can create a layer right above that. And I'm not gonna turn on a clipping mask or anything like that for this one because I do want the fur to kind of like extend over the shapes that I've drawn. So that'll make more sense in a minute. So like I was saying, I can't, like it's a little hard if I do like white fur on white background, you know, you can see it where it comes off the edges, but you can't see anything if you do that, you know? So I think I'm gonna get a little bit of gray, maybe a little bit of brown. So it's like very subtle. So now you can like see the fur. So that's like just a little bit different so that you can see that texture. And I might change that later. I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but I'll start there for now. And so for fur, this dog breed, if I want to go back to my reference photo, it's like a very furry dog. It's got a lot of long hair. So I'm gonna have fun with this. The hair on the foot is shorter, the like underbelly in the back and the neck especially has got really long hair. So, so I'm gonna start at the back and work my way forward. And I'm not gonna add like a ton of texture down here because this is like really short hair. And in fact, I think I'm gonna turn my sketch off for now. There we go. So this is just adding, oh, and I didn't say what brush I'm using either. This is Bristle Painter. It's also in the Gouache Paintbox and it's awesome. Like, I love this brush. It's so good for doing like hair and fur and like wood grain, and like I'm pretty obsessed with this brush. So I'm just kind of adding little short strokes all over, just as much texture as you kind of want to have. And some of it can maybe like the more like you have it extend over the edges, the more the dog's gonna look like he has long hair. So here I don't wanna do that. But I do wanna come, once I get to this spot, I think I'm gonna get like a brown, dark gray and maybe do that. So now I've got like a fur texture where these two colors hit each other, if that makes sense. Then I'm gonna go back to the previous color, and there's a couple ways you can do that. In Procreate 5, there's this history thing, so I could just select that. If you have a smaller iPad screen, you might not see that because it's only on like the bigger screens. Or you can tap and hold this, and you can toggle between your two previous colors. So that's a quick way to get back. And so now I'm just gonna keep on going. And we can ask questions if we have questions. But here, so I'm gonna go back to the black and just, you can't really see it a lot, but it's okay. And now I'm gonna kind of blend those two shapes together. So now, see how it looks more like fur and not just like a solid shape.
Yeah. And one more time, real quick, which brush are you on right now for that?
This is Bristle Painter. It's from Gouache Paintbox.
And then someone's asking, hey, do your brushes cost anything? That's a great question.
They do, yeah. They range anywhere from like, average is probably like $12, $15 or so. But I do have like bundles where you can get them at a pretty good discount. Like most bundles, you get at least 30% off. The master bundle, which is all the sets, you get 50% off of, if you had bought it separately.
In fact, everything right now is 15% off that we're doing. Yeah. So the cost of full bundles, any of the smaller bundles, normally we don't discount any of this stuff.
Yeah, normally I don't put the bundles on sale because they're already discounted a ton. But in light of everything that's going on, I wanted the brushes to be as accessible as possible to people if they wanted to try them out. So we're running a sale that's 15% off everything. So if you want to try them out, you can.
And then something that we're trying to get out even by the end of next month, we're actually going to be creating a free brush set.
Yeah, I'm working on a set of free brushes. So stay tuned for that. But I haven't done any free brush sets yet. So, yeah. All right, so I was going a little slow, but that's, sometimes how it goes. And now like I'm getting to the body. You can't really see that a ton, but I can always go back and add more definition to the fur with different like values. Okay, so now I'm here. I think what I'm gonna do before I do all the long hair on the body is do the other legs. So I'm gonna do that right now. Sorry, it's such a slow process. This is usually why I speed up parts of my tutorials. Because it's a little boring, but yeah, if you have more questions for me about anything, feel free to jump in and ask, or let me know how you're feeling about your life or questions about my life. Try to be an open book. I mean, a little bit.
So I was just saying, hey, I started learning Procreate, and your videos have been super, super helpful. Thank you. And it's awesome. Just say that again.
I said you're welcome. I'm glad they've been helpful. Was it a question too, or just no? Well, thank you. And by no means do you have this is when you're making this, it's your art. You don't have to do all the fur texture. You can just add a little bit and call it a day. I'm just deciding to do it now. I don't know why. I'm usually not as detailed like this.
And this is a great question someone just asked. Hey, when I create a canvas size with the same size that Lisa has done, I only have 5 layers.
Yeah, so the layer count you're allowed, which is how many layers here you can create, is determined by your iPad hardware. So you might have not an iPad Pro, you might have a regular iPad or iPad mini or something like that. So I would probably just do a smaller canvas because that's the other thing that determines your layer count. So maybe something with like at least 3,000 pixels is still going to be high res enough that you could probably print that out if you wanted to. So yeah. And let me do the other legs now. So if you noticed, I turned off that layer because it was hard to see where the edge of this leg was. And now I'm going to do the same where I'm going to just turn on, so you can see all the fur. I'm just going to turn on this layer. And then I'm going to create a new layer above the like one with the clipping mask and the spots for the fur on these guys. So I'll try to quickly get this fur out. Finish. Put the black. Back to white or off-white.
And someone was asking, do you ever wear out Apple pencils since you seem to draw so often? And
somebody asked that a little bit ago, and
yeah.
you can replace this little nib. Well, I'm not gonna do it now, but it unscrews.
Right. The real question is like, how are you not having to replace them so often? Is a great question.
Me?
Yeah, and I think part of that is just your touch. You're not as hard. Like for me, I won't lie, I'm a little hard, I'm a little rough, but I'm also not a heavily experienced.
You don't have the volume.
So I'm rough on my Apple Pencil when I'm on my iPad, and I definitely go through some nibs. In fact, Lisa thought I was crazy when I bought 2 packs of them when I first got them. But she definitely does not go through nibs anywhere near as badly as I do.
Yeah, I don't generally use a super heavy touch when I draw, but they're also made pretty well. I mean, I guess some people go through them faster.
Yeah, so it's all pressure, you know.
If you're referring to the nibs, I think that's what it is.
That's
not like the pencil itself.
No.
And one thing I know that I'm on these like back legs that are behind the body. I know one thing I'm gonna end up doing is going back with darker color and drawing in the fur. I'm just aware, you know, because it's behind the body, it's gonna be in shadow a little bit, but I'll probably just go back and add that later. And see how I'm like blending over this fur shape. There's a spot shape, and then getting the black and kind of doing the same. So it makes the whole thing look kind of furry, like that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's do the tail. And the direction that I'm doing matters as well. I'm starting where, let's see, I'm trying to follow the direction of the way that the fur goes. So I'm starting, I don't know what I'm talking about. Trying to say something smart, but it's not coming out right. All right.
Yeah, you're just trying to say that you're following the body in the direction.
Yeah.
The tail is going one way now.
Yeah, because now when I'm switching colors, actually I think I'm going a different way on this tail.
No, the body?
Like the fur is going, I don't know.
No, you're going the same way.
Okay, so I've gotten to the tail, and now I'm going to go to the black. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of going backwards. It's okay. Just kind of blending that. Yeah. And then here, I kind of want like some of the fur to go over the edges of my shape, because that's going to make it look like furry, and like the hair is long. So that's what's happening there. I'm just kind of going over the edges a little bit to make it look like as furry as I want it to look.
And which color were you using for the fur on the black spots again?
I was kind of like a grayish, brownish, not black, not completely black. It's got a little bit of brown in it. It's really subtle, and I'll probably come back and add more. Like I'm just laying down a base right now. I'll probably come back and add more different values of this color. Cool. Looks great, doesn't it? Okay, so let's turn some layers back on.
Before we get too far, just because someone was asking, I want to make sure we answer it while I've got that question up. Do you use the paper-like screen protector?
You guys ask that every time. I have a matte glass screen protector. which I love. It makes it really smooth when I draw, because without it, it's really sticky and it's not that great for drawing. But I do have some paper like that brand in particular. This is not, if you want the one I use now, which I really like, it's on my FAQ page. I've got a link to that. But I've got some paper like ones that they sent me that I'm going to try out hopefully this week. One of the days that I go live this week, I think I'm going to like get it out and put it on my iPad and like draw on it that day and see how it goes. So one of the days this week, I will try that out, I promise. Okay.
I hope that helps.
Okay, so now I'm gonna add some of this longer fur so he looks, so this is all pretty short hair and now I want some long hair. So I'm using that same like light color I've been using. I'm using my same bristle painter brush from Gouache Paintbox, but I'm gonna like turn up the brush size a bit. And I'm on this like top layer right now because I'm adding fur to this top body part. So let me just look real quick.
And which brush are you using again for the fur?
Bristle painter.
Bristle painter from the Gouache Paintbox.
So like his upper legs have a lot of long hair, the whole body and the neck especially. So, so let's see how this goes. So I think I'm gonna start with like white just to define some of that hair coming down. Does that make sense? The shape of the dog. Like I'm just kind of like adding to, not actually, but adding to this shape, which was very like clean lines. And now I'm making it more of a textured edge by adding this kind of like white fur coming down off of it. That makes sense. I'm gonna probably mess up this little black spot, but I'll come back and fix it. And we're gone. All right, shared story. Okay. All right, we're going back live on Insta. Instagram times out after an hour, so yeah. And Instagram's back, so just gonna keep adding fur and hopefully they'll trickle back in. Okay, so now like as I'm adding this white, kind of blend that a little. So now it's starting to look like this dog is more furry and has long hair. And it's not like a skinny dog with short hair. Does that make sense? I hope. Where else does he? He has long hair on the back, the neck. How long do I want it to be is the question.
Welcome back, Instagram. I saw a bunch of you guys coming back. As you guys may know or may not know, it's got a 1 hour time maximum.
We've already been going for an hour. I'm going to try and make these videos a little shorter because I know asking you guys to stick around for 2 hours can be a lot sometimes. But
looks like we just lost out on...
Okay. Okay, so I've kind of edited the shape and it looks like he has longer fur. And I will add some like darker colors to this, but right now I want to really darken like the legs that are behind. And I'm kind of just like going back and forth. There's that darker color, but I'm gonna go even darker. There we go. So now I'm like adding definition between these two legs and here too. Kind of like a shadow. So you can see that that leg is behind. I'll probably go back and add even more to that, but that's what I'm gonna do for now. And this is the color I've been using to do all this fur texture. So now I'm going back to this layer, the top one, with all the fur and just adding just some coloring to that. Because this is the underside of the body. So it would be darker because it's, you know, the light's not gonna hit the underside as much as it would the top of the dog. I didn't mean for this to be like a crazy detailed dog drawing, but that's kind of how it's turning out to be. Okay, I'm gonna keep going and just doing the rest with this like darker color. And my strokes now, if you notice, they're not like those super short strokes I was doing down on the legs. They're much longer because the fur is longer here. So I'm gonna come back and I'll add the black. I can come back and do that in a minute. but they're nice and long. So this is going a little bit faster, which is nice. Sometimes doing fur can be very monotonous. And here I want some of the fur to overlap that shape. Actually, I think I'll do the black now, which is this color from my history. So this are gonna be kind of long and come off of here a little bit. There we go. And so the reason why I went and did this is because now I can add the white over the top and it won't look as, doesn't look as blended when I do it the other way. Sorry if that doesn't make sense. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good too. This one I haven't really done yet, so let's switch to the black, switch to the white. So I'm kind of like just blending here and adding in the white. Looking pretty good, pretty happy with it. And I'll do the same here. There we go. And maybe a little more. That's pretty good. All right, keeping going. Moving up to the neck. We're almost there. So when I get to the face, like that's where the hair gets a lot shorter again. If I go back to my photo I was looking at. So it's pretty long up until you get to like the face part, like especially long around the neck. So I'm gonna have that be pretty long, and maybe the ears kind of have something going on here. Okay, so now I'm to the face, and I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm not gonna add a ton of detail, just a little bit. Blend that. You want to follow the way that the fur like naturally goes, so actually probably this way. And then on the face kind of goes in a lot of different ways. It goes around the eyes, down the nose, kind of like that. So I'm going to try and use that as a guide. Maybe I'll put the picture over here so I can see it. Zoom in. Fine. You don't want to zoom in? All right, fine. Be that way. So it's going to go up here, kind of around. The eye is going to be like about right there. And I don't need a ton of detail. I just kind of want the illusion that there's some texture there. So I'm not even going as detailed as I did with the foot. I'm gonna blend this little spot, get the black, blend that a little bit. Okay, cool. And then I'm gonna add some extra shape with just pure white so I can get like the ears looking a little more furry. And get longer, do this. Kind of have these like long hairs on their ears. And then the back ear, I'm gonna go to the layer I was doing like all the back fur, like the back leg fur. Add some like texture there, smaller brush size, and a little bit of texture there. It's looking pretty cute. I think my friend has a dog like this. Okay, so fur is looking pretty good. I might add some more longer hairs to the tail, but I'm gonna go ahead and add some line work to this now. So if you remember the workflow that I was doing, it was sketch, basic shapes like filled in, and then texture, which is all the fur in this case, and then I'm gonna do the line work. And the line work I usually put on a layer up above everything else. So I created a layer above all the other layers, and I'm gonna use kind of my go-to brush in this set, which is Gritty Tilt Liner. It's in Gouache Paintbox Gritty Tilt Liner. It's just one of my faves. it's got a lot of cool texture to it. So now I'm gonna add like things like the eyes, which I'm just kind of freehanding. So there's one eye, and then I gotta decide how I'm gonna define this other eye and make, because it's already so dark there. And we'll come back to that in a sec. Let me add the nose first. See that nice texture on that brush? I love it. And then the mouth. I want him to look happy. That's happy. And I might add, okay, let's figure this eye out. So I think I'm gonna draw maybe like a white circle and then put the eye into it. See if that doesn't look totally weird. Oops, I need to get this color again.
It's great. Someone actually asked in the very beginning this question of like, how do I draw an eye on the dark fur?
Yeah, I'm working on that. I don't know. I'm problem solving as I go here. Like if I add some white around it, maybe, and its eyes are hard because they can very easily look creepy. If you like, I don't know. I mean, that's not terrible. It's kind of too small, actually, in comparison to the other eye. So I'm just gonna make it a little bigger with select and transform. I don't know, what do you guys think? Any ideas here? Maybe a little darker with black.
A couple people are asking which iPad you have. Lisa's got the 2018.
This is iPad Pro late 2018. So the first time they changed it to this body style where it was like the black and the brown corners, and then the Apple Pencil 2 charges with the little magnetic thing, which is awesome. That's probably like my favorite feature out of this new iPad. Okay, I mean, it's not creepy, right? It looks pretty good. You can still see it. It's probably a little too small still. I could redraw it bigger, but I'm gonna be lazy and just use resize. Even though that does, so if you notice, like it made it kind of softer, and that's what happens when you resize a lot because Procreate is a raster-based program. It works in pixels. It's gonna be like less, no, it's gonna get the pixels, the more you move things around, the more pixelated they kind of start looking. So I'm just gonna kind of paint over it to kind of give it more definition. It's not that big of a deal unless you zoom way in on something like this. It's cool. It's kind of cartoony. Let's move on. He needs some like little paw kind of definition, so I'm gonna get maybe a color like that, like a warmish gray, a little smaller. I'm just gonna do little paw mark, like little spaces in the paw like that. Really simple. And that one too. Redo that one a little bit bigger. And then kind of decide where else I might need something. I might give him some little like whisker freckles, you know, like that, just because I think they're cute. So those would be like where his whiskers are coming out. Gives him a little personality. And then for sure the ears are blending a lot, so I need to do something about that. Let me go to like a pinkish color. Sometimes you can see the inside of the ears and it looks a little pink. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna go back to my fur layer, the one with all the like fur marks. And I'm gonna go back to Bristle Painter, that's the brush I use for fur, and see how this looks. So this has got a little bit of pink in it. I don't know if it's gonna work, but he definitely needs something. I don't know if that's it. I'm gonna go yellow. I don't know, guys. You know what else? He's got little like black spots on his ears, so maybe I'll add that too. I'm gonna do the back ear. And now I'm gonna get the like brown that I've been, or the like dark gray. Maybe just add some little marks that might be like, if he had black spots on his ears. Why the heck not? We'll do a couple here too. Maybe this one's more. He has like a nice big spot right there. That's kind of cute. And then, all right, so I'm pretty happy with this so far. The only thing that I might change is add more shading to this because it's kind of flat. Like I feel like under here would be a little bit darker, maybe under here. So I'm gonna do that by adding more fur texture and just a darker color than I was using, which I think it's gone now, but it's okay. I'll just resample it from right here and then go just a little bit darker. I'm just gonna do a little at a time, and I'm on that same layer with all the fur and just adding some strokes underneath. Too heavy. And especially like here, I want to add some definition to the back legs. So I'm going to go to that layer with the fur. So it's the back leg fur layer. And maybe a little darker. There we go. Just to give it a little definition. And even the bottoms of the paw, although this is a little bit dark. Use the color I had before. And like, it's totally up to you if you want to add, you know, as much shading as you want to. I'm just gonna add just a little bit to the bottom of the paws. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. Okay. Just a little bit. They're always gonna have some darkness, like wherever they touch the ground. And I could even add a shadow underneath him, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna keep it simple. I am gonna add some more fur texture to the tail because he definitely needs some. So I'm just gonna sample one of those colors, get a bigger brush, and really go at it. I think that looks good. And we'll do the black. Some big, see I have the brush pretty large now, so I get some really big, wide kind of marks. And I hope, oops, maybe on this side just a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, a little bit. And then some darker areas just right here. Good. Just make sure I'm on the same layer as I should be. But overall, I mean, it's totally fine, and I think it's really cute. I could add a collar. Should I add a collar? What do you think?
I think you should add a collar.
Should we add a collar? What color? I'm feeling like a green collar, maybe.
So the irony is in my head, I'm like, she's just going to choose green because her background is already teal. And this is the way Lisa just works.
I could have made it like a dark teal. Aqua and teal, man, that's my color combo. It's all over my house. Like I have this bowl that is aqua with my grapes in it. I've got my old iPad case. It's right here, which is teal. My coaster, teal. There's a lot of things like that in my life. My iPhone case, if you could see it, it's also that color. Okay, so let's add a collar. So
a green collar.
A green collar. And some of the collar is going to have to be covered in fur because his dog's neck is super furry. So I'll show you how I'm going to approach that. I think I'm just going to start by making a layer. I'll probably use the same layer I used for my line art because my line art is here and down here and it's not here. So I usually can put things on the same layer as something else if they don't touch each other because then I can still manipulate it pretty easily. So I think I'm going to go like that color green. So it's kind of like a yellowy green. It's not quite saturated all the way. And I'm going to use my detail liner, and this liner is a little bit more less textured. So it'll look like a nice smooth color.
And for those just joining, which brush set are you in right now?
This is Gouache Paintbox. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Gouache Paintbox.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. So I think that's where the collar would go. Probably. Make it a little wider. And if you notice, I'm not super worried about the edges right now because I'm going to go in, sorry, the ends, I should say. They could go out this far for all I care because I'm going to use the eraser tool to clean them up and make them straight lines. So now I'm going to go ahead and hold down the eraser. So I tap and hold it down, and that's going to choose whatever brush I just had selected to use as my eraser. So I get nice consistent texture, I guess you would say. I'm just going to erase it to where like the edge of his neck would be. There we go. Easy. So now I have a nice crisp corner because I use the eraser tool. Okay, let's also add, what's it called? Like a license, like the tags, dog tags. Maybe we'll do those in, maybe we'll do it gold. I'll show you how I would do gold. So gold is hard because it's metallic. So I'm kind of getting like a muddy yellow to start. And I'm gonna put it, I'll make it like a big down here. Maybe like oblong. Okay. And I could leave it like a flat color, which actually looks pretty cute, but I'm just gonna add a little bit of something to it to make it look a little less flat and a little metallic. So metallics are hard, but basically it's all about mixing in really, really light version of this color and really, really dark version of this color. And I'm not trying to make it 3D. I'm just gonna try and give it the impression that it's gold, if that makes sense. So I'll start with like a darker, a little bit warmer color like that. And I'm gonna get a soft brush. Maybe I'll use the painty round brush that I was using at the beginning to draw the shape of the dog. So painty round from Gouache Paintbox, because I know that has like a nice, texture to it. I wanna use Alpha Lock. So you notice I started drawing on it and that's not what I want. If I turn on Alpha Lock on this layer, now I can draw just within the confines of that shape. So I don't have a plan for how I'm making this gold look, but I'm just adding a little bit of dark and then also something really, really light as well, which is like a light, light yellow. And then letting that, the original color shine through. So yeah, it kind of looks a little shiny, a little metallic, and just like kind of mixing in those like really, really darks and really, really lights will give it just a little bit of metallic look to it. And then I think the other thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn off Alpha Lock now. I'm gonna grab like that darker color I just used. I'm gonna go back to the detail liner, which again is like a nice smooth liner brush. And maybe I'll get a smaller brush size. I don't know. I'm trying to like, maybe this would be like the bottom, if it was like kind of 3D looking. And then I'm just trying this out. I don't know if this is gonna look good. And maybe for the top, I can use that lighter color. Yeah, it works. You know, it's the thing with this style that I do is like, if it gives the impression that it looks like you want, like it's technically like not like a 3D shape, but it gives the impression that it's gold and it's shiny, and that's enough for me. So I'm gonna leave that. I think that looks pretty good. And I definitely need to add some texture to this collar. So I'm gonna turn Alpha Lock back on. I'm gonna sample the green, and then I'm gonna go to my brush stroke brushes, which add some brush strokey texture to flat areas of color. That's what I made them for. So if I get in close, you can see me just painting in, and I'm using the same color, the same green. I'm not changing my color at all. And then I get these like beautiful like brush strokes on it, just kind of like light. I could make the brush bigger and they'd be like bigger brush strokes, but it just kind of adds a nice little bit of interest that makes it look not so like flat and digital. So that's what I did there. And I need to connect, like I'll add that as line art, like where the tag connects to the collar in a minute. But I want to add some fur over it so it looks like the fur is actually over the collar. So I'm just going to create a layer right above the collar layer. And I'm going to grab like white that I sampled from the dog. And then I'm going to go to my bristle painter brush. That's the one I've been using to do all my fur, bristle painter. And that's a good brush size. I'm just going to brush over his collar a little bit so it looks like some fur, maybe I'll go bigger, is like over the edge of the collar. And I think it would be covered up most down here, whereas like neck is really long, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying this out. I don't know if it's going to work out, but it seems to be going pretty well. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Just so it looks like some of the fur is over his collar. I might get like a little bit darker. There we go. And then underneath, it needs to be just a little bit darker. So I'm gonna go back to this layer, the one with like most of the fur, and go a little darker. So this might be like a shadow under the collar, I guess. I don't know, I'm not going too crazy with my shading, but yeah, I think that's fine. I need some more darkness down here anyways, so. Okay. Okay, so that is good. The other thing I want to do is connect these two things together, and I'm probably just going to do it on the same layer as the collar. I guess I'll do it in gold, maybe. It's maybe like the little ring that's on the collar is in gold. Going back to detail line, actually no, I'm gonna go to gritty tilt liner, since that's one of my favorites. And I'm just gonna like add a little ring there, and then I'll connect it like that. Oh, you know what, and I'll add, actually before I do that, I'm gonna go dark, add a little like hole that it would be connected into. And then I'll go back to that color and I don't know. We could just imagine that it's connected. There. Hope that's makes sense. Cool. I think that I'm done with this dog. I hope you guys had fun with that. Do you guys want to give him a name? I think this dog needs a name. So shout out a name in the comments. And while you guys are doing that, I can take any questions that you guys had about this.
Yeah, and I've actually got a couple that we've been saving till the end, because
Yeah.
it's normally a good time to talk about when something is done. One, backup, data storage. What do I do with data storage and backing up my files?
So there's a couple ways that you could handle your backup. Mostly what I rely upon is saving this as a final like JPEG or PNG on my computer, which gets backed up. So if you didn't know how to share your artwork, you go to the actions menu, which is the wrench. You go to share, and then you can export your images as a number of files. So if you wanted to back up this file as Procreate, that means you can open it back in Procreate. You've got all your layers and all the data that Procreate makes for this file. You would save it as a Procreate file and back that up to a different location, like a cloud backup or a computer with an external hard drive or whatever like that you use to back up. I do that maybe like a couple times a year. I'll go through and back up all my Procreate files. But generally I'm usually exporting them to my computer as like a PNG or JPEG, and that's fine. Like if it was a client project or something like that was really important, I would make extra efforts to back it up. But if it's just for my own personal artwork, like once I'm done drawing it, I'm probably not going to work on it again. So I don't worry about it as much. It just depends on like how worried you are about it and how important it is to you. So one way that I suggest backing up if you're going to do it a few times a year, which I already have up here, is I use iCloud Drive, and I have a folder called, oh boy, where is it? I have a lot of different folders. I'll just go back to the one that I just had up because right before I installed the Procreate 5 beta or upgraded, I forget when. But this is what I would do is like to back up all your palettes into a folder, all your brushes into a folder, and all your files into a folder. So if something were to happen to your iPad, you would have that all saved, if that makes sense. I might do a video on how to do that process. I have a video about Procreate 5, about backing up your data before installing it, that about that. So, but yeah, maybe I'll do a video on that one day.
Awesome. And then once we have these files out, how, you know, or I guess, how should I be getting my files out to prepare for print? Was asked early on.
Yeah, you can share them as a JPEG, or I've never printed from PDF. I usually just print from a JPEG. I don't really do a lot to stuff before I print them. If you can set up your file to be in CMYK mode, and that means that all the colors would be more closely, I wonder if I have one. I don't think so.
Is Elton John on there?
No. No, I don't think it is. Color profile. So when you're creating a canvas template, you can set it to CMYK mode, and I'll just do that really quick just to show you what it would look like. And your color wheel will be like doled down. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but when you print something, the colors are not going to be as intense and saturated as they will as they can on a screen. So this kind of gives you like a more realistic like colors that you have to work with when you're working in print. But I tend to not worry about it. I just assume when it's going to be printed, the color's going to look a little more dull, and I just know that. And I'm okay with that. So I don't really work in this mode. I'd rather just have it look good on screen and then print it and know that it's not going to be as bright. I hope that makes sense.
Then we did just have a question of, do you use a home inkjet printer?
No. Our printer, I use it mostly as a scanner for when I'm scanning stuff to use to make brushes, really. But like the color doesn't even work on it. Like it can only print in black and white. It's not that great, but the scanner works great. So it's like a big as 11 by 17 printer scanner.
We only have basically an office printer is what we use, and it's for Amazon returns and stuff that we need to give to.
I don't print at home. I'll order it out if I'm going to print something, which you know.
And honestly, that's what we would recommend. You know, if you're wanting something to put up on your wall, is looking at a high quality digital printer. Is what we would be recommending. Yeah, ordering your prints online. If you have a home printer and it prints good, by all means, go for it. But you know, if you don't, and you're not, you know, you don't need to. If it's going to be like a business investment, like I'd probably just get your stuff outsourced and get it printed. If you're going to be like selling a bunch of prints of your art. It's probably more economical just to order that out. So, absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we did have tons of good names come in.
Let's hear them.
To talk about that.
I see Cletus.
We had Cletus, Marty. We had Spot, as well as an
Appropriate.
Evolution of Spot. We had McSpotter.
Ooh, McSpotter.
Max. Sky, Waldo, Chandler, Fritz. We got a Gabriel thrown in there.
You guys definitely think this is a boy dog. Maybe we can like, are any of these good baby names for our baby? No. We haven't picked a baby name. We're having a boy.
Fritz is a great name.
Fritz is a good name. Our friend named their baby Fitz, though. Yeah. So that is also a good name. Good job, you guys. Sarah, picking that name. Your daughter might be watching right now.
But yeah, so those are, what are we going to go with?
I don't know.
Decide?
What was the one? What would I forget?
Which McSpotter?
McSpotter. I like McSpotter. This is McSpotter the dog. Isn't he cute? All right, you guys. I think we're gonna wrap up. I just wanted to let you know again who I am. I'm Lisa Bardot. My business is Bardot Brush. I make brushes for Procreate. If you want to support me and keep making cool videos like this and going live, you can check out some of my Procreate brushes. I'm having a sale on them right now, 15 in the shop. So that's going on through the end of this week. You can also buy me a donut. I have a little page where you can like just support me by sending a few dollars my way, and it's buymeadonut.com. It's kind of like that whole buy me a coffee thing that some people have to support artists. So I have that as well. But I really have been enjoying doing these live videos with you guys. We did them all week last week. We plan on doing them every day this week, you know, the weekdays. So I'll be drawing more stuff again with you tomorrow. I don't know what yet, but I'm figuring that out. And hopefully doing another Procreate workshop on Friday. This one, we'll be doing an animation is kind of what I'm planning. So be sure to sign up for my email newsletter to get all the details about that. And you can sign up for that at bardobrush.com. I'll just bring it up really quick so you can see it. So this is my website where you can look at all the brushes and stuff, but there's a little pop-up here and you can sign up for the newsletter there or at the bottom of the screen right there. But that's how you go. That's really cool. We have like artist artwork pop up down here and there's some really cool stuff in there. Things that people have made with the brushes, so.
I'm also posting up there how to get some of the free color palettes as well.
Yeah.
Is, up on YouTube.
And I wanted to show you while I'm on this website actually how you can watch last week's workshop. So this is the tutorials page. So if you go to, tap on tutorials there, these are all the tutorials I've ever made. And this is the workshop we did last week. So this kind of went over all the Procreate basics as we followed along. I made a really cool illustration. So it's a really cool one to check out. So this is where you can see the permanent copy of that and watch it at your leisure and make some really cool stuff while learning a bunch of cool Procreate tips and tricks. But this week I want to do an animation one, which I kind of teased about in this video. We did a demo, but not like a follow along. So hopefully we'll do that.
And we did have someone ask, will we be able to do the animation if we only have Procreate 4?
You can definitely apply some of the concepts that we are doing in that video to Procreate 4, but we will be harnessing all the Procreate 5 features for animation, which they really bumped up their game a lot when it came to animation with Procreate 5. So you can do all that stuff, but you might want to watch this video first, which is, here we go, 5 ways to make an animated GIF in Procreate. This is my original Procreate animation tutorial that was made with Procreate 4. So this shows you how to make layers to make animation frames and stuff like that. So you'd be doing what we're doing, but using these methods. And you can also use some of these methods to make animation in Procreate 5. So it's a good one to watch regardless of what version you have. Any more questions?
I do want to say thank you, Karen, for buying us a donut.
Oh, Karen, thanks so much. I wish I could literally go buy a donut right now, but I think they've closed up for, the pandemic stuff that's going on, sadly. We have a donut place that's like 3 blocks away, walking distance, and it's one of the best ones in town, and it's really good. So me, like the kids and Jeff and I, sometimes we'll just walk down there, get a donut, and walk back, and it's really kind of a fun thing for us to do, so. But they're closed, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for stopping by. We've got 4 more of these, so one more. We're trying to do these every day this week.
Yeah.
So please stay tuned. We should be going live about 10:30 every day.
Yeah, we're trying to aim for 10:30-ish PST, Pacific time. We're in California. So I will post about in my stories like what I'm going to draw, maybe right before. But I haven't figured it out yet for tomorrow. But feel free to like message me if you have ideas or go into the Facebook group. The Making Art Everyday /Bardo Brush Facebook group is also a really good place to kind of connect with me and other artists that follow these tutorials or use my brushes or participate in making art every day. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see in here. We're going to keep doing it as much as we can.
And then we already just mentioned it again, but yeah, Friday is going to be the big workshop for animation is what we're working on. So
cool.
We got lots more fun stuff this week, and thank you so much, you guys, for hanging out.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.